back, everybody, to the 5th episode of the Buddhacast. Screw that shit. This is Matt Haywood, the Entertainment Buddha, bringing you another episode of the most unpopular podcast on the internet, the Buddhacast. Today's episode is titled Microsoft and Batfleck and More. Oh my! So we are joined by the full gang again. We finally have Anna back and Jim. So let's go around the table and just introduce ourselves like we do every week. So again, I am Matt Haywood, the Entertainment Buddha. I'm kind of the brainchild behind this website that has now turned into a massive multimedia geek hub that no one looks at, but we love doing the work anyways. I'm joined by partner in crime and sound engineer extraordinaire, music producer Ten Benson's over there in the UK.
Charmed, I'm sure.
We also got everyone's favorite Wu-Tang Clan, former skateboarding professional extraordinaire, current speedrunning champion of something, Raymond Pareca.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
And finally, we have our lone lady voice, Anna Febo down there in Florida, who, like me, can't stand games like Dark Souls. How you doing, Anna?
I'm good. Saving the best for last.
Yeah, nice to have you back. It's great to hear the estrogen coming across the wires, as well as that lovely British accent.
But does my voice not have enough estrogen for you?
Yeah,
Matt?
for those of you that for those of you that have been listening to all our Buddhacast, you know the last one was called the 2-Man Train Wreck because it was just myself and the Wu-Tang Clan. And while I think we put on a good show, we definitely lacked a little flavor in our voices. You know, you got Ray with the nice deep, sexy radio voice, and then my kind of annoying nasally voice. But we're back. The full team is back today, and we're here to talk about stuff about Microsoft, Batman, Superman, some other games we've been looking at, interesting game news, and then, you know, we'll kind of wrap up with some Titanfall discussions and kind of go around the table, see what everyone's doing. So without further ado, gang, let's get into the big news of the week that just dropped yesterday, and this is the revelation that Microsoft has, yes, once again, flip-flopped on a very firm statement they made about the Xbox One. So what we are discussing here is yesterday, Phil Spencer of Microsoft came out and pretty much said, hey, we're going to go ahead and offer a Kinect-less Xbox One and starting June 9th for $399 to kind of bring the price point in line with Sony's PS4. This kind of goes against what the company said many months ago, where they pretty much told the world that they would never, ever, ever release an Xbox One without a Kinect because they believed wholeheartedly in the device, that it made the console better, it made games better, so on and so forth. Those of us that got the one with the Xbox, with the Kinect, I think we can all agree that it's problematic. It doesn't really work great, and no developer has really found a perfect use for it yet. Sure, it's great to scan in QR codes and junk like that, but as far as gameplay and really even getting around the UI, it's not awesome. So that's the first thing. I'll kind of open it up to the floor, though. So, team, what do you think about this reversal? I mean, are you in the camp where you're like, man, Microsoft has no balls because they didn't stick to their guns? Are you in the camp where like, well, I kind of get it because they are a business, they're losing this battle and they need to make some money? Or are you in the camp of, I hate Microsoft, all they do is want money and they can go to hell? So let's open it up with the 10 Bensons. What do you think there, 10?
Oh, you had to come to me first.
You know I was.
Is there a time limit on this?
The floor is yours.
I want to eat dinner soon, so.
No filibusters, but I know you have a good opinion on the matter. So.
Right, okay. Now, you see, I want to take the kind of general consensus and be really angry at Microsoft. And in particular, obviously, Phil Spencer. But the thing is, as much as I don't really like Phil, he has come in and made changes to what is effectively a sinking ship. And he's had to do that. He's had to clean up the mess of what's gone before him. So I can respect that and I can see that. But on the other end of it, I can kind of just think, well, hang on a minute. They've just effectively turned the Xbox One into a lower spec PS4. There's nothing that separates the two at all. And I remember saying a while back that I was.
That's actually a
I was
really
kind
good
of-
point.
Yeah, because I was actually like, although I was annoyed with Microsoft and what they were trying to do back at last year's E3, and the announcements they were making, and yes, all right, they've backpedaled, ever since then. But I was kind of hoping that they would stick to their guns and they would make it work so that they could turn around and prove to everybody that, look, this is a concept we had and it is going to work and we've made it work. And then the whole kind of field would change. Sony would probably have to follow suit and we'd be in a kind of strange kind of limbo of crossing over to digital when most of us, and myself included, prefer having physical copies of things. So I am kind of annoyed at Microsoft doing it, and obviously it's definitely they aren't selling enough consoles, and
I think that's the biggest driving force when it gets down to brass tacks. I mean, they are a company; they are in business to make money. So if they're not selling consoles, they got to do something. So I think that's one of probably the major factors for this happening.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on forever, so I'll let someone else.
No, I mean that was good. I mean, I honestly think you're kind of in the majority. That you kind of have your extremes on both sides, and
yeah. I mean, I could be really, really hateful and really slam Microsoft for doing it.
You want to do it.
I can't. No, I can't because I'm still a reasonable person. I still love games. So as much as I want to slam Microsoft and say, fuck you. You tried basically raping me, and it's
there
failed.
It is,
so,
there it is.
But at the end of the day, I suppose they deserve a slow hand clap. So I'm going to give.
All right, golf clap. I like it. Golf clap.
Well done, Microsoft. That slow hand clap's mainly for the removal of gold paywall.
Yeah, we haven't even got to that part yet. That is an upside.
That's a separate
of this
issue.
move. But let's go on to Anna. What did you think about the announcement? Did it bother you one way or the other? Or do you think it's a good move? What do you think?
Well, I think from a business standpoint, it was something that was necessary if they honestly wanted to stay up to par with Sony. Just because, the last couple of announcements that are, have been made of how many units Sony has sold for PS4, it's kind of like, well, they're in the millions, and Microsoft is just behind. But I think from a business standpoint, if you want to stay, in the headlines and you want to stay in the race, you're kind of gonna have to renege on what you said and go connectless, and it just makes sense. I got my Xbox One with my Kinect. I don't use it. I don't at all. It's annoying.
You don't even turn it on with your voice. That is the one thing I turn it on and off with my voice. I can definitely say I do that on a regular basis.
Well, I go as far as Xbox unsnap. So that goes away. But yeah, I mean, I've tried to do the on and off and it's not listening to me. It's like, you stupid piece of crap. Like, I am telling you what to do.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Kinect has failed, and the fact that Microsoft have decided to remove it is just vindication that it just doesn't work.
I don't know if you guys watched the video they put out, but I mean, crap, I forget the gentleman's name. He's a higher up in Xbox, but he pretty much, he pretty much said, he's like, hey,
Yusef,
we want everyone to know that having the Kinect is still the best way to have an Xbox One.
Yusef Mehdi's just Don Matrick.
Yeah.
But, in a different face. He's exactly the same. I don't like the people at Microsoft. Whenever there's a conference or they're on the stage at E3, I just can't stand them. I just know they're feeding me a load of shit. And
the thing is, I can't say that you're not wrong, because I believe a bunch of people look at it this way as well. I mean, because it all really comes down to last year's Xbox One and E3 review.
Right.
I mean, they did say a lot of things that they then reversed on the week after.
I don't look at Jack Tretton and think, oh, this guy's a real nice guy. Yay, he's brilliant. I don't think that. But I mean, maybe Shuhei Yoshida. He's just a character in his own. I think like he could run both Microsoft and Sony as a an amalgamation, and everyone would love it. he's just that kind of character.
He's a cool cat. I mean, he's just,
that's what I'm saying. He tweets all the time. Have you seen him on Twitter? He's constantly answering questions. Now, there's nothing like that. I mean, yeah, you've got Major Nelson, but Major Nelson just seems like a corporate mouthpiece. So Microsoft really need to kind of get that gaming side of things sorted, because that's where they've lost out. And maybe, with hopefully the death, I say hopefully, listen to me, hopefully the death of Kinect, because I think Kinect was a nice idea, but yeah, I don't really care about motion controls. I'm all about VR, baby. Virtual reality is the way forward. Fuck this motion control, because it just doesn't work in most situations. Yes, it's great on a demo floor, and yes, it's great when you see this video where do you remember the one with Milo?
Oh, what's his name? Peter was sending out some snarky tweets yesterday. He's like, "Well, I guess the Kinect can rest in peace with Milo after all this, after this debacle." Because he's come out recently. He's pretty vehemently against what Microsoft has been doing with the Kinect and why it's failing and blah blah blah. I mean, Peter. He's a great at getting headlines for comments.
Yeah,
and quotes.
he is. He's a controversial figure in his own right, isn't he?
So let's go to Ray. What'd you think, Raymond? Does this affect you at all?
Well, I think much like you all said, at its essentially it comes down to capitalism for me. I think, as much as it sucks for everyone who had to buy an Xbox One that said, I don't give a shit about a Kinect, but they still had to get it and pay the extra money for it, that sucks. But as we've talked kind of about, Microsoft's still a company. They want to make as much money as they can. They've seen Sony's kind of been kicking their ass up and down at their price point. So, they had to do what they had to do. It does not affect me at all, frankly. I never had plans to buy an Xbox. Not to be a Sony fanboy. I've just always owned Sony's system since I was 7 or 8 or whatever. So that's just where my allegiance kind of lies. So yeah, it really doesn't affect me. Like I said, I feel bad for whoever got suckered into having to buy one, but otherwise...
You mean you didn't lose sleep last night thinking about all those people that spent $100 on a Kinect?
No, because they spent $100 on a Kinect. Deal with it. I'm
kind of like you, Ray.
Your biggest problem.
Yeah.
You need to take to Twitter or angry Facebook statuses, piss off. Like there's a lot more stuff we could all be complaining about. So deal with it. Work an extra couple shifts and make the money back.
Yeah, like the Penguins blowing a 3-1 series lead in Game 7 against the Rangers at home. I mean,
I was thinking more.
That is much worse than spending $100. Who cares about world hunger and peace? That's never going to happen. Not when we have the almighty dollar and governments. So, anyways, I'm kind of with all of you. They are a business, and businesses need to make money. So Microsoft is doing what they need to do to try to recoup some console sales. Quite frankly, I think it may be a day late and a dollar short, as we all like to say, because the PR mess is it's already been laid out and it's out there, so it's gonna be hard to win back some of these people.
Right. I was just gonna say that. I mean, it's all gonna fall back on E3 and the presentation that Microsoft did, and then you saw what Sony did, and I mean, I'm gonna buy what I want. That's just me, but gamers are consumers. You just got to make the best decision that's best for your wallet, and just that's it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the writing is on the wall. It definitely sets up the Kinect to kind of go away. I don't know if you guys read yesterday, but they also released. Microsoft said, hey, now that we're not making you build your games with the Kinect in mind, you can actually get more raw power out of the console for your games. Yeah, and they didn't even tell developers until yesterday.
It won't be much. No matter, they can try and spin that their way and say, oh yeah, you'll get more power, but it's going to be minimal amount of power.
Well, dude, you're still the cloud. Come on.
Don't even talk to me about the cloud. The cloud's a dedicated server. That's it. That is it.
Nimbus or Stratus?
I'm just kidding around. The other thing I didn't get from kind of the gamer land yesterday about this announcement is everyone bitching about how the Kinect was the only way to get around the Xbox One's UI, which personally I find that to be ridiculous because the Kinect, I mean, outside of just calling out an application, I could see that as being useful when it works. But that UI is such a mess anyways that you're going to be quicker with your controller, period.
Right.
To me, the Xbox One UI is just crap. PS4's isn't much better, but it's nice and clean.
No.
It still has all these stupid stacked tiles, but the Xbox One UI is a joke.
You've only got to look at the 360 and see where they were going with the UI, because by the end of the 360s, I mean, I say by the end, it's still going, but by the end of my time with the 360, I was getting so fed up with the UI because it was just shoving fucking Doritos ads or the latest Halo crap in my face on every page. And you'd be flicking through the tiles and then suddenly you'd land on an advertisement and your ears would get blown away by some really loud music or dialogue. I'm just like, fucking just moving along quickly, please move. And I see that I haven't played much with an Xbox One. I've had a little bit of a play around, but the UI just looks like, just reminds me of that. It's just
as soon as I turn it on, I click right on the game that's loaded because I don't even want to mess with trying to get around.
My frustration with that has been if someone sends me a message or an invite to play a game, I can't just go to my message. Right. I have to go to my notifications. I mean, but it's someone sending me a message to join a party or play a game. Why do I have to go to my notifications?
If you do not hold the Xbox button the moment that message comes across, you basically have to break out of the game you're playing and go find what the message was about.
Really? Yeah. That's like a massive step backwards.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, Benson's Xbox Live and 360, fantastic for party chats and whatnot. They've tried to fix it twice now, and it's still just a clunky mess.
It just makes you wonder how they didn't go, oh, that works, let's just move that.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally copy
Why reinvent the wheel when the wheel is not broken?
Yeah.
So.
That's what I ask myself every day. I use my computer and have to look at that Windows 8 home screen. So
I'm still on 7, mate. Still on 7. I won't go to 8.
That's what. But going back to the UI thing, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One at this point. I still use my PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation 2. I love the PlayStation 3's layout for the UI just because everything I need is kind of right there. But
everything's still buried though. I mean, you still have to go search it, like especially settings.
It'd be nice to be able to pin things, or favorite items and stuff like that.
My little thought on it is the PlayStation 2 in terms of like UI stuff before starting a game. If we could figure out how to do something like that, where it's just like, browser, here's your game, here's your memory card, here's whatever.
Hell yeah. Well, you remember the old days? You didn't have a UI on a console. You just put in a fucking disc and played it.
If we needed to have a UI, I like the PlayStation 1 where there was one thing for settings, one thing for your game and all that shit. I mean, obviously with the internet and whatnot, that's ruined everything.
Man, let's go back to the original Xbox or the original PlayStation or even the NES at this point. You just stick games in.
Shove a cartridge in there and turn it on. Let's do it.
Yeah, all you can do is look at the game.
That's not necessarily true because the original Xbox had quite a few settings, if I remember, because it had an internal hard drive and you could store music tracks and pictures and things like that. So that was like for me, the original Xbox was the start of the UI.
Oh, there you go. Blame it all on Microsoft again.
No. I tell you what, I just want to quickly interject and go back to just mention about the connectless stuff because I've noticed that they've done it just before E3. Because what's E3? 2 weeks, 3 weeks away?
3, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
June
3 weeks away.
Will be the press conferences.
A lot of people were saying, "Oh, why didn't they do it at E3?" And it's a pretty smart move because they do it now. And they get to E3, if Microsoft have got to come out at E3 like, and I mean guns, every gun firing, every gun blazing.
Rumor has it that they're going to blow the show up with just nothing but crazy new game announcements. So
they're going to have to
supposed
just
to blow
to
the
wash
show
this
up
away.
last year with sweet console announcements, and look how that went. So
all right, but I mean, surely they've learned by now. A year on, and the fact that they've gone back on absolutely everything.
Yeah, well, the upside at this point is they can only get better from here. I mean, I think at this point, this is kind of the white flag. Yeah, they're basically going, hey,
I don't know. I would play the contra positive. I mean, if it was Sony and a role reversal, I still think like you could go lower. They could certainly announce some bunk thing that from a business standpoint, they think they're geniuses. They think they're changing the world, but I don't know, let's be real
Connect
here, guys. This is the
3.0.
games industry. Until you have the people that are sitting there playing games every day, making the executive decisions, it's still going to be screwed up.
Well, the curious thing here is that Sony's not doing too well either. I don't know if you guys have seen rumblings about
as a
that.
company,
All the CEOs have had to take 50% pay cuts. When they do that, that usually means their projections are not going to hit what they forecasted. So I don't know. It's a weird time in gaming right now, and you kind of get this dip when new consoles come in because you run into a drought of games. I mean, there are no games to play for either of these consoles.
But I think gaming's the only real thing in Sony's arsenal.
Sony's bad numbers stem from every other thing they're doing, with the exception of their game stuff. That's the only thing that shows any kind of plus.
But you got to look at it this way: there's the film industry's on its arse. There's no money in films, really. There's no money in music. The music industry's on its arse. The only thing that's really making any money is gaming.
Yep.
Because I think it generates more revenue than films and music combined. That might be a lie. I'm not too sure.
We'd have to look it up, but I bet Sony is probably making less than $50 to $30 per console, if they're making any money at all.
Yeah, but that's always the way, though, isn't it? You always release a console. Sometimes you release it at a loss, and then as the years... I mean, you got to look at a 360. Imagine how cheap it must be to make an Xbox 360 now.
Well, it's probably $1 at this point.
Exactly. And if they're still selling it for... I mean, over here, it's what, £99. So say $110, $120.
$150 million American.
Yeah. So... The margins that they're making after 5 years, or even after 3 years, is so much that they will recoup any losses they make now. So it's
we'd have to look it up, because I really don't think gaming is that profitable for anybody. I mean, that's why developers go out of business left and right. Publishers go out of business. I mean, there's really
I think it's different. I think developers they go out of business because they make a great game.
Yeah.
And then the talent goes elsewhere.
Yep, I'm with you.
You don't get many developers where look how many people leave development studios. They make a game and then they leave because there's nothing for them to do. So they go where the money is. And I think there is money in gaming. Maybe not so much in hardware.
No, yeah, I agree. It's
software. There still is
software or digital distribution of software. That's the money maker. Yeah. Hardware in any kind of industry where there's the hard good of something, and then I'll take skateboarding for example. Like your skateboard in and of itself, you don't make jack shit off selling them. It's
all about the wheels and bearings, son.
Well, bearings have a great markup. Wheels have a great markup. Shoes have I can't even tell you how much, because you guys will gouge your eyes out. But if you treat the actual skateboard deck as the hard good in the sale, and then if everything else is your media or whatnot, you make so much more off of that. And I think it's 100% the same way within the games industry. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll have to task one of you financial guys to look into that deeper, because I don't think we can make a claim quite yet. So anyways, we kind of beat this topic into the ground. Let's kind of raise Microsoft back up for doing something right. And that is the announcement that came out yesterday as well, that they have finally figured out that making people pay $50+ a year just to use a subscription service that they're already paying a monthly fee for, they finally gotten rid of that paywall, which I can't believe it's taken this long to get there.
Yeah, that's mind-boggling.
So everyone knows what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a subscription to Netflix, Hulu, HBO, you could not use those apps on an Xbox console 360 and the One, unless you were an Xbox Live Gold member, which I believe now, is it up to $60 a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that just made no sense. No other console did that. Really, no other piece of hardware does that. Because, again, you're already paying a fee for Netflix. So why the hell do you have to pay Microsoft for the privilege of watching Netflix?
I can't believe it went on for as long as it did. It was...
Oh, forever? I mean, it's been years.
Yeah. Exactly. I remember because I didn't know about this. I knew there was obviously a silver account, a gold account, and for me it was when I bought an Xbox camera. Don't know why, I just did. Bought an Xbox camera, and I had a silver account, and I went to send a picture to someone, and it's like, oh, you can't send this without a gold account. So that was the start. That was Microsoft.
Why we all bought
a
cameras
using an Xbox.
I know why we. No, well, here I can tell you why. Back in the day, we kind of rolled with a pretty motley crew of Gears gamers. And the one guy is my cousin. His name is Afrozone.
Yeah, I remember Afro.
And he used to send out pictures of his penis to people using the camera. I think they may have bought those to combat back. But yeah, some nasty stuff used to get shared with that crappy little Xbox.
Now you can just live stream it on the PS4.
Oh yeah.
But I was going to say, because that was like the first time I was like, what? Hang on a minute. I've just spent 40 quid on this and I can't even send a picture.
Yeah.
And then obviously the apps came later on.
It was asinine. I mean, this is long overdue.
It's even worse when, like, I think with the BBC iPlayer. Now, BBC in the UK is a service that everybody pays a license fee for. Absolutely everybody in the country over 18 will pay, if they've got a TV, for a license to have a television. And that goes towards the BBC. So not only was I paying my license fee to watch television, I was also paying my internet subscription.
Hold on, you have to pay to watch TV. Like not just like a cable bill, but like you actually have to have the privilege.
You have to have a TV license, yeah. Yeah,
whoa.
But I don't mind it because it goes towards.
What the hell is?
But it goes towards some great programs.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
BBC's
all right, it's not managed
good.
very well, but also the radio as well. So you've got God, like BBC World Service would not exist if it wasn't for the license fee. So
interesting.
I don't mind paying it. It's not a massive amount of money for a year's worth of service. They could manage it better and make more programs suitable for more audiences, but that's obviously a different thing altogether. But yeah, having that plus internet, paying my ISP plus paying for Xbox Live Gold, and I've got 3 paywalls before I can watch iPlayer on my Xbox.
Yeah, it's nuts, but hey, it's going to be gone now in June, and they are doing the right thing. They're offering refunds for anyone that just signed up for Xbox Live to use Netflix, HBO Go, Hulu, or whatever. So if you are that person, make sure to get in touch with Xbox. I believe that this program will be offered in June, and you'll have until August 31st to get your refund. So I think that's enough on Microsoft today. We'll let them have a break for a couple weeks.
Until their next comedy outing at E3.
Yeah, they definitely blew up the game space yesterday, and Twitter was abuzz all day long with people kind of going back and forth on both sides. And then you had the people come out of the woodwork that defend these corporations as if they work for them and got a paycheck, which I always find to be entertaining. So let's kind of move on to our next segment, which we're just going to kind of talk about some of the games we've been checking out or just some game news we've come across. I'm going to kick things off with Bound by Flame from Spiders Studio. Okay, so this RPG for the PS4, PS3, Xbox 360, and PC is very polarizing. It's polarizing because it's hard as fuck, first off. I mean, I'm talking... Again, I am not a Dark Souls champion. Only Ray and Benson's could comment on the difficulty of Bound by Flame compared to Dark Souls. But let's just say there's no way, and I would like to see anyone that has. I really don't think there's a way to beat this game, Bound by Flame, that is, without playing on the easiest
Challenge
setting.
accepted. I'm down.
Please. I mean, I like I said, I wish you had a PS4 because I would send the review copy to you today because and the sick thing about it, Ray, is I kind of like that aspect of it, which is very atypical for me because I usually, if I get into a game where I just, it's kind of like beating my head off the wall, eventually I'm either going to snap a controller or have a stroke. And I got close towards the end of Bound by Flame, but it's one of those things like I died. Okay, I know why I died because I was being a dumbass and I rushed in with a chicken with his head cut off when I need to have a little bit more strategic approach. So I kind of got off on that aspect. Outside of the difficulty of combat, I mean, again, that's the combat in Bound by Flame is insane. The hardest thing I've ever played. Kind of like The Witcher, but even harder. Visually, not the best looking game. Story, it's kind of broken. But really, it's an interesting and I don't want to say unique RPG, but I kind of like Spiders. They are a tiny studio, and it is a fairly impressive effort by a tiny studio. And if you are a PS4 user, it really is the only RPG to kind of get into right now. It's not a $60 game, but I'll let you check out my review and some videos I've done to make your final decision. But anyone on the team, did you check this game out? Do you have any questions about it, interest in it, or what have you heard about Bound by Flame?
I mean, I haven't paid too much attention to it, with the exception of, any of the press releases that came out before launch, and then your review. And that's what really piqued my interest, is kind of hearing about the supposed challenge and how you felt, not so much frustrated, but saying like, damn, I want to do better next time. To me, that's how I have fun playing games, is tackling them as challenges. So I know it sounds right up my alley, and, I'm a sucker for any high fantasy or fantasy RPG. That's what I grew up playing. So I'm excited to play it, certainly. I'm hoping I can get a chance to soon.
I wish I could have looked up my death count, because I bet it was pushing 100 plus.
Ooh.
Dude, it's the first time in a game, and I hate to even admit this, but, it's all about full disclosure here at Entertainment Buddha. For the first time in a game, I had to drop difficulty mid-campaign. Wow. It was a mental struggle. It was an internal battle with myself to do this. But I knew if I wanted to get the review out by the embargo release, I had to do it. And even dropping the recruit, which is easiest setting, was still a ball buster. I mean, the final couple bosses, and they're multi-stage bosses, and they're very, very cheap. Oh man, I don't know. It's one of those games. I gave it 65 out of 100. I mean, it's not a must play. But I definitely say if you're looking for an RPG on the PS4, or you got $50 laying around, it may not be it. I mean, it can give you about 15, 20, 25 hours worth of gameplay.
Yeah. All right. Even without the great reviews that it's getting, I'd say they're pretty middling as a whole. As you said earlier, it's super polarizing. And I think I've said in the podcast, or definitely in some of our articles, like, in terms of polarizing games, I tend to love them. Deadly Premonition is the second greatest game of all time as far as I'm concerned. So having an RPG that's super polarizing, supposedly difficult, and, challenging, all that, like, I'm gung ho. I'm gonna be getting it as soon as I can.
I really think you would probably enjoy this game. You'd probably take issue with the kind of the broken choice system, and because there's supposed to be some deep choices that greatly
that was one of the big selling points, wasn't it?
And it just the dialogue options make no sense. You don't know which one to pick, which is going to piss someone off or please someone. And I'd say I missed easily 3, maybe 5 hours worth of content by making choices that just completely shut off 10 side quests at a time. Just like, okay, well, you can't do those anymore. And I just was going, well, what the hell did I say to shut those down? Because it didn't correlate. Most choice games. Yeah. It's clear. I mean, it's black and white. If you do this, you're going to piss them off. If you do this, you're going this way. Especially in The Witcher. I mean, again, this game to me wants to be The Witcher. Because The Witcher, if you play that game, at least The Witcher 2, that's the only one I've played because it was a console game. But you would have these fork in the road decisions. And if you made option A, your story would play out this way. If you did B, it would play out this way. That just never came across that way in Bound by Flame. It was kind of a crapshoot, and I felt like it took away from the story and kind of the whole companion piece of it, and building relationships and really caring about the world.
Speaking of The Witcher, let's just all agree that what a great series of games. I want to take a moment and say shout out to CD Projekt Red, because those are I think that they're one of the best developers probably in the game.
They're definitely doing
it right. We got a press release today on them. They have a brand new logo that is a bird, and they changed the logo of The Witcher 3.
Oh.
Not that I didn't really feel that to be super exciting news, so I kind of left it off the agenda for today. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I'm hoping to hell that I can get an appointment with them again at E3 to see what they've changed since last year's E3, because last year I got to see a very early build of the game, and it probably crashed 5 times during the demo. I felt like the poor guys from CD were going to slit their wrists, because these developers, people, I mean, they take their games seriously. They are their children, and when they're showing their children off in front of the press and their children don't behave, it affects them greatly. So I felt bad for the poor guys, but I want to see where it's at this year. So hoping good old Evolve PR can get us hooked up with that. All right, so that's Bound by Flame, people. I don't know, Benson's, if you've been following this game at all.
I've had
kind of talked about it. It's got a pretty steep difficulty curve.
Yeah, I've heard a few things about it. None of them are really positive.
I kind of open it up. It's very polarizing. You're either going to enjoy it at an average level, or you're going to hate it. I don't think anyone's going to love it.
One particular bit that I saw in a video that they were making fun. Basically, you go into this place and people are in some kind of like catatonic state. And there was this guy, and you are talking to him, and he basically just turns around and tells you that in a kind of like jokey manner that he rapes his wife while she's.
Dude, the writing is juvenile as it gets.
Yeah,
I mean, they say like, bitch, fuck, shit, left and right.
That to me, that's just like alarm bells.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't think that's like something that really needs to be joked about. You know, if you're gonna joke about that, if you're gonna joke about rape, then what else are you gonna joke about? You know, so yeah, it
is. It's one of those games. I mean, trust me, it's not gonna blow anyone away, but it's a decent effort for a tiny studio. I mean, to me, it's a game that felt like it came from a studio that has more than 40 people working there.
Yeah, that's Spiders.
But it also felt like a studio that has 40 people working there.
They're the one, I believe they developed that Mars.
Yeah, they did Mars Warlogs. They did Of Orcs and Men. I mean, I played Of Orcs and Men. Again, not an amazing game, but they had good ideas that just, you could tell. I mean, they're a small studio.
Yeah, the thing that I was seeing with Bound by Flame was that it was trying to be a bit Dragon Age. And
to me, I think it's more Witcher than Dragon Age, because you have no control over your companions whatsoever. I mean, in Dragon Age, at least Dragon Age 1, you could go in and hot queue up their actions.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
The AI companions are basically Nimrod nincompoops that follow you around and occasionally help out.
Ah, right, I see.
All right, so let's get off Bound by Flame. I don't want to beat it up too bad, because I mean, if it ever goes on sale, you can rent it. I would actually say to play it. Another one I want to touch on real quick, and this game to me may make my top 10 games of the year, but it's called Extra Solar. It's an online browser game. I believe it's free to play. There are pay tiers, but I don't know if any of you have looked into this. After this cast, I suggest to just pull up extrasolar.com. But this game it's kind of a modern version of I don't even want to say it's a pen and paper, but it's kind of like a game where they take you and bring you into the game and kind of make you feel like you're part of the world. So the concept is that you apply to this XRI Institute to be a rover driver on this alien planet called Epsilon Prime. So from your laptop, basically, and when you log into the site, it recreates like you're some schlub working in an office, controlling a rover with your computer and taking pictures of the alien planet and tagging, you tag species, and then eventually you start to find out that, hey, there may be life on this planet outside of plants, and there may be intelligent species. And the whole time they play it off like you're working with this hacker who's hacked into XRI, and she's giving you special information, but then you got a doctor from XRI sending you video messages telling you that, hey, this is under NDA. So it's hard to explain in words. It's something you got to see. I hopefully will have a review in the next 2 weeks, but it's a kind of a game where you make 4 moves and then you have to wait about 4 hours to make more moves, which I kind of like. It doesn't require you to sit and play for hours at a time. So people that are busy, it's a good game to kind of get in, get a little gameplay, get out. But to me, it's just being immersed in this world. I mean, I literally feel like I'm working for XRI, and I'm doing some secret shit here, looking for aliens. So.
Jesus, are you trying to tell us that you're PC gaming?
Well, it's kind of a browser. It's kind of a browser game.
We got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's like you're playing RuneScape back in like 2003 on your browser, and the next thing you know,
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I did it great justice. But please, everyone, listen. Look up extrasolar.com and see if you can get in. And if you're like me and you sign up and it gives you a message that they have too many rover drivers and they'll get back to you, but you should check your spam inbox, take that seriously and look in your spam inbox. It's pure genius. And it just goes to show you how in depth the developers went to really make you feel like you're part of this game's world. Because, I signed up. This is how dumb I am. So the developer's like, hey, man, I'll give you Pioneer access. You can take more pictures and blah, blah, blah. I sign up and I get that message. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why would you give me a code to check out your game? And it's telling me that all the, the rovers there are no new rovers for new players to use, blah, blah, blah. So I hit him up. He's like, hey, man, just check your spam folder. And I look, and sure enough, they send a message from the hacker to make it look like, hey, I intercepted your request. I got you into the program.
That's pretty good.
Just use this key.
Yeah,
Dude, it's
nice.
great. I mean, to me, it's brilliant. I love the idea. I think we need more games like this where they don't require a bunch of time, but they also kind of just bring you into the world. Like, I am part of the game. I am the character.
There's a free-to-play horror game, and the name escapes me, but basically, you would play it, and it would deliberately crash, and you would reload, and something would be different in the game world.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was called, but
it kind of makes you, again, that little gimmick with the email. Just, I was like, you know what? That when I wrote the guy back, I was like, first off, I'm a dumbass, and second, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's
It's just like little things like that. Just bring you out of like the fact that it's a game and intersect with reality. Do you know what I mean? It's just an email, but it's not in the game world. It's actually in reality. So it's taking you out of what you would consider the normal kind of, you play a game, you know that it's not real, it's just a made up fantasy. It's the same with this game crashing, and it would crash about 3 or 4 times. I mean, you knew after like the first or at least definitely the second, you would know that it was deliberately crashing the game. But the first time it happened, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how can this game? I mean, because it wasn't the most taxing game, so I was just like, why is it crashed?
Right.
Oh, what? So went back in, realized something was different.
Just that little technique just drew you
exactly,
into it
because it took me out of the game, and was doing something in the real world on my computer that I wasn't expecting. And it's like I said, it's a shame that I can't remember the name of it, because I'd recommend that everyone just give it a go. And I kind of ruined it though. But
spoiler alert.
No one knows the name of it, so
Well, anyway, if we figure out that name, I'll put it in the post once we get the podcast uploaded. But definitely, for sure, everyone check out Extra Solar. I hope to have a review within a week or so. I think I'm getting to the point where I may be finding the true mystery of why I've been working with this hacker on the island of Arkatos on Epsilon Prime.
I want to believe.
Pretty fun game. So let's move on to Ray. And Ray, I know really the only reason I'm kind of starting you with Sunset Overdrive is because you did a couple posts on it this week.
Yeah.
But Sunset Overdrive's been getting a little more play in the press recently. Insomniac has been it is Insomniac, right?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. They've been putting out some, they've kind of lifted the embargo on some of the gameplay and whatnot. So some videos have been coming out, some posts, some screens, and Ray's kind of taking the lead on that. So go ahead, Ray. What are you thinking about this game so far?
You know what? I was first of all excited to see any news regarding Sunset Overdrive, simply for the fact, going way back to last year's E3, I believe it was, where they first announced it. I know it topped your list of one of the, kind of like best in show things, and people seem to respond very well to it, but then nothing. Radio silence with the game for quite some time. So this is the first time we've really seen anything of Sunset Overdrive since then, and it looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. That video they released recently, I saw someone described it something like Jet Set Radio meets just shooting the shit out of everything, which is, I don't know. It looks.
I love the art style. I think
art's cool.
It's like a rated R Pixar, because this game, from what I've read, is actually pretty violent as far as like the aliens you blow up.
Yeah, it looked it from everything they've teased recently. I think I forget what the number is. I wish I actually had this source in front of me, but it's some like ridiculous polygon count per every character model that can be seen at any given time.
Oh,
so, like,
yeah,
the
I know you're talking about.
Fidelity, like it maintains it too, which is pretty impressive. Going back to how we were just talking about the Xbox One, how it's not.
And this is a X1 exclusive.
Yes, it is. I
isn't
think Insomniac said the reasoning behind that was something to the effect of they like working with Microsoft or something like that. But I don't know if you guys have checked out any other recent Sunset Overdrive stuff, but it does. I'll preface it by saying
that game looks sick.
Yeah, it's not a game I would normally like be drawn to, but seeing some of the movement stuff, and it really does remind me of Jet Set Radio, which there's a game franchise I need more of.
Is it going to have any type of campaign, or is it going to take the Titanfall model?
I don't know. To be honest, I would assume it has a campaign, though. In that video, it had a couple of the Insomniac developers talking about it, and they sort of laid out like a little lore, backstory, plot kind of stuff, if you will. So I'd assume there's going to be. However, I haven't been following the game ultra close.
Yeah, that's definitely on my must hit list for E3 is checking out Sunset or trying to get an appointment with those guys. So, any thoughts from Benson's? Have you checked out any of the recent gameplay of Sunset Overdrive?
Do you know what?
Does it just seem like a clusterfuck to you? Or
I haven't. I remember seeing it at E3, and apart from like Ray was saying, the kind of Jet Set Radio vibe, I wasn't too enamored with it, possibly because at the time I was really pissed off with Microsoft. So the fact that I knew it wasn't going to come to the PlayStation made me write it off, which is a stupid thing to do, but that was how I felt at the time. But no,
for those of you who don't know, Benson's had a voodoo doll of Don Matrick and all the other Microsoft executives that have now left the company all last summer.
Never forget. But you know, all jokes aside, it is something that I should definitely check out because I love Jet Set Radio, and this does have that Jet Set vibe with a little bit more of a action orientated.
Yeah, it's like Jet Set Radio if you're just blowing shit up instead of doing graffiti.
Yeah, and the art style was definitely something that made my ears stick up a little because it was like, oh, you know, it's because you had all these big games coming out. I mean, at the time it was like Rise, so it was like a very kind of, you know, manly, rough, charge, and then Killzone, which, you know, you had the sci-fi element, and then obviously this came along, and it was just like, oh,
super bright and fast and bouncy, and then aliens show up. You're like, all right, I'll tell you. Yeah,
definitely. So it's something that I'll have to check out and keep. Yeah,
there's potential. The other thing Ray kind of looked into this week, and it's been out there. It's a very, very I'm going to say weak rumor at this point, but I guess, what was it, Ray? One of the guys that has worked with the Darksiders series. Oh, no, he's at the new publisher, the new studio that owns the rights to Darksiders, right?
Yeah.
And he teased that maybe
I can't. What is it? Majoria. I don't have it in front of me anymore, but I believe he did art for the game and did some of the design work for the Darksiders franchise. I guess he hit up on his personal Facebook saying something to the effect of Darksiders is not dead, which is pretty cool because I'll go on record in saying that Darksiders 1 is pretty bleh and Darksiders 2 is better, but still not great. But those two games have some of the coolest art direction, I think.
Yeah, I thought they were
history, not in history,
they
obviously,
were
but in
fun
recent
games.
years. Yeah. And they're cool.
They were a nice mash of Zelda and God of War.
Yeah, so to hear that after the whole THQ crisis, that Nordic, who bought up the franchise, I want to say it was, that they might be doing something with it is cool because Darksiders was planned as a whole series where you're taking on each of these
we still haven't
horsemen.
seen the two other horsemen.
So,
I mean, and Death. Honestly, I wish I had a Death statue. I mean, he's
for those
of you that
awesome.
follow me or look at the site. I am a collectible whore. I've got a severe problem spending money on toys and statues and crap, but that's one video game character I would have loved to have because his build. I mean, he looked like Skeletor on steroids.
Anna, I was about to say, what does Anna think of?
Did you guys play Darksiders, Anna?
No,
Darksiders.
No, but I'm excited for Sunset Overdrive. I mean, just the whole plot and premise of it. It just looks like a fun game. Kind of reminds me of Saints Row. Just that wacky,
no, you're right. You're dead on. The tone is
drawn. Yeah, that's
that's a real good call. Actually,
you're dead on though. The tone, I would say, the tone is very tongue in cheek. Doesn't take itself seriously. It looks like.
Did you ever play Jet Set Radio, Anna?
No, I didn't.
Oh my gosh,
I didn't.
Put it on the list.
You know what, guys? I only tried it when it came out for free on the Vita, and I just like,
dude.
It was a game of its time, but when it was on a Dreamcast, it was just something else.
Going back like a couple months now, I did a article on like best soundtracks in games, and by and large, Jet Set,
you had Jet Set Radio on there.
I'm going to listen to the soundtrack immediately after this.
I'm not a huge dubstep head, but the most recent SSX was another one with just
Yeah.
a killer soundtrack.
Yeah, you convinced
By the way,
me on
that
one.
game.
The only
is
problem
fucking
I have
awesome.
with something like SSX, it's going to have a licensed soundtrack, and I think that you should write off anything that has licensed songs. You should write it off. It's all about original composition, baby. As a music producer, I have to stick up for people that like.
Well, hey,
you know,
and going
actually
back to
produce music.
Darksiders, I forget the dude who did their soundtrack, but he is super good. Those games had great sound, like scores. They were super good. Yeah. So shout outs to Darksiders. Maybe
That's
coming
one thing
back.
Bound by Flame did do right. It did have a good soundtrack. Yeah, so two things to think about. Sunset, definitely not a rumor. It is coming out for the Xbox One. Darksiders, let's hope that rumor pays off because, like Ray said, we're still owed at least 2 more games to see what the War and Death's brothers are up to. So let's move on. We're gonna kind of give Anna the spotlight here, and the only reason that we're doing this because I found this. We use Skype to work and chat, and throughout the week, I've seen messages from Anna going, "Hey Ray, I can't get past the tutorial in Dark Souls. What the hell am I doing wrong?
Ray.
And should I smash my console?" So Anna, go ahead and explain what's been. Let's just get an inside look at your troubles with. Is this Dark Souls 2 then, or just the first?
No,
one?
this is the first one. If I'm gonna commit to this, I'm gonna commit from the
you gotta
first
start
one
with the first.
and build my way up from there. I mean, even just the beginning. I mean, when you start off with like half a sword, I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Like, really? Come on. But eventually, I got this in the swing of things. The controls are still a little wacky for me, but I'm slowly starting to get the hang of it. But I'm still in the tutorial. I mean, I've tried to.
Have you
that
passed the
thing.
asylum demon?
No, that's
yeah.
where we're currently stuck.
That's where she's stuck.
Right, that's where I'm
Right.
stuck. Like I go through the white light, and it wants me to drop, do a plunge attack. I do my plunge attack, and I'm
always
like,
do that.
yeah, damage. And
See, have you stayed on the platform? Because when I first played Dark Souls, I shit myself. I came out to the white light, and I was like, "Are you fucking joking me? I've got to beat this guy." And I just
what I was
stood there
telling myself.
in fear. I froze, and he will knock you off the
Yeah,
platform.
he comes right up to you. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, I did.
yeah. You have to fight him.
Yeah, I do the plunge attack, and then I'm like, well, what now? So I'm like running around in a circle, and his hammer is just knocking the pillars down, and I'm getting stuck in front of the vases, and I'm like, well, let me destroy these things so I can get around them, but I end up dying, and
The biggest thing to do is block, because block will, although it will use your stamina, it will take so much of the damage off of the hit. Blocking is one of the best. I mean, when I face a boss, my shield is up. I can't remember if you have a shield in the tutorial.
Yeah,
you end
my
up
shield
getting one.
never drops because you can attack from behind your shield. So don't worry about dropping your shield or anything. It's only drop your shield so you can get your stamina back up.
The other thing too, and this will be the biggest pointer I want to give you, like with the Soul series as a whole, the bigger the boss is, the better you can kind of cheese them out, as in get as close and as high and as tight as you can on them and just kind of roll into them. Because especially in Dark Souls 1, you have like an absurd amount of invincibility frames when you roll. So the more you can kind of take advantage of that, the less you're going to get hit and kind of the easier it becomes. And certainly learning how to do all of that it can be frustrating, but as we're back to Bound by Flame, like that's the kind of stuff that I really get into is how do you optimize it. So it's going to be a rough road, but kudos to you if you're going to stick it out. And
I'm going to commit and touching on RPGs. I did finish South Park Stick of Truth.
Oh yeah.
And that has to probably be like the only RPG game that I've ever played. And I had so much fun playing, and I'm like, well, if I like South Park, maybe I'll like Dark Souls. I mean, it's not the same premise, but that's what I'm going to tell myself. It's South Park.
The thing with Dark Souls is so brutal to begin with. And I mean, it doesn't get easier, and it does get easier, but you kind of start to learn all its little tricks and all the different ways of doing things. And you'll find yourself building your character, and you'll find a weapon that works for you. Like, a lot of people like a spear or a lance or something like that, because they're able to keep things at a distance. In Dark Souls 2, I've gone the other way. I've gone for a sword and a shield rather than like a long range, pokey kind of stabbing weapon.
That's the route that I went. I went with a sword and the shield.
Yeah, go for a tank, because it's like for a beginner, it's probably the best build to go for, because you can obviously tailor it to take a lot of damage and really start to learn the game. But
see, I had a similar experience with Demon Souls when it was released for free on the PS3. I took a stab at it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, I started up. About 30, 45 minutes in of redoing the same section over and over. I was like, all right, fuck this shit. I am done, deleted. So kudos to you for even lasting this long.
But the thing is, what it doesn't tell you is that by redoing that section over and over and over, at one point you want to redo that section, collect your souls, and then go back. And you go back and you level up. Because otherwise you're never ever going to progress. All right, yes, you might make it through and defeat the boss, but it's a lot harder. So I found a way of, I would do a certain area, and if I found it really tough, I would do it so many times, keep collecting my souls every time I died, and then go back to the bonfire, level up. Because then the next time I go and do it, it's a lot easier for me. And by the time I got to the boss, I was usually at like an appropriate level to face that boss. Because Dark Souls will let you wander into an area quite happily and
then die.
Ass kick. Yeah, and get your ass kicked.
Immediately after you're done this asylum demon fight, Anna, there's going to be 3 directions you can go. 2 of them are wrong.
Gee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the old Dark Souls segment for today. I just thought it was funny because I mean, like I said, I give credit to Anna for sticking through it, because that's the type of stuff that just it's weird, because Bound by Flame definitely was a ball buster too, but it wasn't to the point where I was getting stuck for hours upon hours. I would have ripped out whatever no hair I have, maybe my pubes or something, but I can't stand for that type of junk. Not that it's junk. I mean, that's the nature of the game, but just not for my patience. So
you won't be sharing a controller with anyone then.
I almost broke my first next gen controller over Bound by Flame, but I managed to stop myself. I can tell you right now, any PlayStation controller, I guarantee you I could press it in half in one.
I just want to say I've got a funny story about Chaos. Shouts to Chaos. And he told me that he's got the digital version of Fight Night Champion.
Oh, dude, yeah. Is this the story from last week?
I don't know when the last time you spoke to him was, but he's got a digital version of Fight Night Champion, because I think he's been through his 6th disc, snapping it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, no, just while we're talking about Chaos, I guess there's a trick in Fight Night where you can kind of go in the lobby and ready up. We're each gonna pick schlubs, but then you have enough time to pick a good guy, so you can just go in and beat the crap out of them. And I guess someone did that on Chaos, and Benson's and I know this dude. He's very competitive. I'd say almost to a fault competitive, but he got so pissed at this dude that he made sure to film the match with his phone.
Yeah.
So he could share it and show people that, don't switch your character on me. I'll kick your ass either way. But he was having issues with YouTube and cursing the world and about ready to smash his laptop. It was hilarious. And he sent me a picture. It said, "World's greatest dad," as he just loaded up the Skype chat with nothing but vulgarities and cuss words and talking about killing people and this, that, and the other things. So anyways, that was our perfected or Daddy Chaos segment.
Yeah, Daddy Chaos now.
For the cast. Yeah. All right, so I want one more game, and this just very briefly I want to touch on. It just released today on Kickstarter. Not released, but its Kickstarter just began today, and this is Super Hot by Super Hot. You gotta love that when a game is the same name as the development studio, but just put out a post. Kickstarter started today. I think they're already in the 30, 40,000s out of $100,000. It's probably going to get funded.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, this game it's kind of like an FPS puzzle game. And what makes it so unique is that you're not really running and gunning. You're stopping and dodging, if that makes any sense for a shooter. And the reason you have to do that is because anytime you move, the game world will move. So while you're not moving, when enemies shoot at you, their bullets aren't going to hit you. But if you make a move one direction or the other and it's wrong, the bullet will drill you. So it's all about precise aiming and kind of planning your route through every level.
Yeah. Like I said to you earlier, Matt, it reminded me at first glance, just watching that minute-long, trailer in conjunction with the Kickstarter. It reminded me a lot of Killer 7, just aesthetically and sort of how the gunplay looked like it worked. So simply off that illusion alone, I'm down for it. It looks great.
It's like the Matrix on pause. So it's like Matrix bullet time that pauses when you're not moving. But when you do move, then it speeds up. Yeah, check the post out. They actually have a running demo of the initial project you can play in your browser. So definitely check that out.
I think I played, it was sometime last year, summertime last year, so nearly a year ago. They had like a little demo of it, and it was it was really basic.
September or August of 2013, because they actually won some indie development show with this game. They made it in like a couple weeks.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was like a challenge or something they did, and it was
and it's neat as hell. So I hope the Kickstarter goes and this thing gets more exposure, maybe even a console release. Right now, it's just going to be PC, Mac, Linux.
Mm-hmm.
But pretty neat. I don't know, Ann, did you get to check this out today? Super hot?
I did look at it briefly, and I like the concept of it being kind of like a puzzle where you really have to plan your moves. So I like that. But again, I don't have a...
I played the demo today. I didn't take a lot of time, and it is definitely puzzle heavy because I couldn't even make it past the second demo stage because I was just, I didn't have time to invest into it. But I was kind of rushing, and there is no rushing. This is not your standard run and gun FPS.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a puzzler over a FPS. Definitely. I mean, when I played the demo of it, I didn't really notice it was a shooter, apart from the fact that I had things shooting at me and I was shooting at them. But because it was broken up, like you say, every time you move, the game moves. The game, it's every time you're not moving, everything's paused, and every time you move, the game starts.
It's almost like a time-based strategy game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
turn-based, a real-time turn-based strategy game.
Yeah, because you can take your time with it. You can sit there and you can try and, like you say, plan out your route. Right, you know that somebody's going to be there, somebody's going to be there, somebody's going to be there. So you have to plan ahead and think, right, okay, I've got to go here, go there. And you know that this guy's going to shoot at you. And I think in the demo, people would kind of like, they would spawn in certain areas. So if you went down a corridor, there might be a guy that spawns around the corner, but the next time you play it, he might not spawn there. He might spawn somewhere else. So it wasn't completely and utterly the same every time you played it.
Yeah, so it's got a little dynamics built into it.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyone listening, please, check out the post. There's a link in it to play the demo. You can play it for free. You don't need to install anything. It uses Unity, so it runs right in your browser. It's definitely worth playing, and if you like it enough, why not throw them $10 here or there?
While you guys were talking about it, I wanted to look at, on Kickstarter, just get a little bit more information about the game. And then I switched over to Twitter really quick, and Cliffy B actually just donated to Co-Design an arena to co-design.
Yeah, he's in the Kickstarter saying like, give them all your monies. I mean, they got some pretty huge attention last year.
Yeah, so he just tweeted that out. So look out for that.
Yeah, so I actually, the whole Kickstarter movement, to me, it's odd. I think it's great. It's a good way to get these indie games made, but there's issues with it.
It has pitfalls, yeah, definitely.
You got games that get canceled. You got, the whole thing, to me, the Oculus thing still would burn my ass if I invested in that, knowing that those guys are billionaires now because me and, a couple other, couple thousand people helped them to start their project.
Yeah. It does feel like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
But that's the same with, it's not just a Kickstarter thing, and I'm just going to briefly mention this, but the early access is also another area. And it's very specific to PC gaming, I find, that this early access. It's been around now for probably about a year and a half. maybe a couple of years, but more and more people and specifically developers of larger studios are starting to use early access to get their games out to the public. And a lot of people have their problems with it and they think, you're just paying for like an early demo rather than the full game. And that is true. And for the most part, it's been a bit of a success. I think DayZ or Daisy, as most people call it Daisy, I'll call it DayZ. But that's probably the biggest seller because I think that's sold it's over 1 million copies. It might be probably about 1.5 million now, maybe more.
Yeah, it did bonkers.
Yeah, that's a major success story, and that's early access alpha, and it really is an alpha. When I first booted it up and played it, it was so bare bones compared to the mod that it was based on that I kind of was a little bit worried. I was like, oh no, this isn't in there. But I know that with Bohemia Interactive, who are the developers, that there is that security there. They are, they're not a AAA developer, but they are a large developer. They have a lot of money. They've got a lot of backing, and they'll see the project through to completion. Now, on the other hand, we've had this week as a game called Towns, and the developers have pretty much turned around and said that they're abandoning the game. And if you were to play it, you would realise that the game isn't finished. It's nowhere near finished. All these features that they wanted to implement aren't going to be there. And you've got to feel for the people that have they've put their money and they've basically put their balls on the line and gone, right, I've invested in you. I want you to deliver me the game that you're going to promise. Just like Kickstarter, there's no real contract that they have to deliver. Yeah,
I'm sure it's all in the fine print, which is a bummer because no one reads that shit.
Yeah. And it's just a shame that there are going to be these blips. There was a big one, wasn't there, for Kickstarter last year? I can't remember who it was, but this guy that he'd asked for funding, gotten the funding that he wanted, and it was a large sum of money. We're talking millions of dollars. And then 6-7 months later, he's asking for more funding. It's just like, well, hang on a minute. What the fucking hell have you done with the money in the first
whatever
place?
happened to people like making a product and earning their money in their way in their business off of an idea, kind of self-funding.
It comes from publishers, I think, that
it's tough. I mean,
a lot of developers feel that publishers, and I think a lot of gamers feel that publishers push an agenda onto developers, and people see Kickstarter and early access alpha as a way of breaking, especially within digital distribution, they see it as a way of breaking out away from the publisher.
I love it for indie studios. Now, Harmonix just launched one to get the Amplitude reboot made, and I kind of take problems with established, successful development studios. Same with Tim Schafer. I mean, he goes in this conversation too, but these guys asking for money when they could very well get money the old school way if they really wanted to. And again, it comes down to we want to make the game we want to make and not have the pressures from, people in suits who gave us the money. But it comes off a little cheap sometimes when these well-established non-indie developers get on Kickstarter and hit people up for cash.
Yeah, but it's like I was saying, with the indie developers, there's not always that guarantee that they're going to deliver. There's a risk. There's a definite risk, and this is why I don't generally do Kickstarter and I don't generally do early access, because for me the risk is far too much. I'd rather let somebody else take that risk. It's an investment at the end of the day. That's all we're doing. We're investing in an idea if it's Kickstarter, and if it's early access, you're investing in a concept, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm almost at the point now where I would prefer to not get knickknacks in my name in the credits and get a percentage of the back end based on how much I put up. That to me, that's like true venture capitalists. I'm hedging my investments on the success of a potential game. That to me makes more sense than.
But how would you? Because you guys are primarily console games. How would you feel if something like early access was to come to consoles? And in a way it has, because you have free to play. There's a free to play game. I think it's on the American PlayStation Store, but it's definitely on the European, and it's called War Thunder. And they have built War Thunder and are continuing to build War Thunder into this kind of it started as like an aeroplane combat game, and now they're going to do tanks, and eventually they'll do seaborne warfare. So they're going to constantly build and constantly add to it. But when you first obviously get the game, it just has the airplane side of things. Now, although it was very fleshed out and it was a really good game, they could at any time they wanted drop support for it completely and leave you with a half-finished game. Like they wouldn't have all the things there that they promised. So it kind of is there, but at the same time, you have that security of knowing that they are a pretty well-known developer. They release a few games on console. They're going to see it through to completion. But if, say, something was to come to console that was like how Steam does with its early access, I mean, would people buy into that? Do you think would that be something?
I can tell you, me personally, no. I like playing finished games, and I actually hate when I get games that should be finished and they're not finished.
Battlefield 4.
Spider-Man 2. I even though I did like the game, it was a half-ass effort by Beanox for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Anna? Would early access be something that you'd be interested in, or you were shy away from the risk?
I guess it just depends on the game. I mean, if it's something that I'm really interested in looking forward to, then I would definitely check it out. But if it's something that doesn't pique my interest, I wouldn't waste my time.
I like that. Okay, then Matt, back to you then. If it was Star Wars Battlefront early access alpha, $12.99.
Was it get me?
Remember, I mean,
was it get me like one map and one character to use, or
no? There'd be enough content there for it to be a game. That's the whole point with Kickstarter being, it's different to, like I said, Kickstarter's an idea, whereas early access is definitely much more a concept because you have all the elements, most of the elements in place that you can play around with it. You can see or at least visualize what the finished product will hopefully be like.
Okay. Yeah, when you phrase it that way, sure. Yeah. I mean, for $12-15 to get it on a Battlefront,
and also you get it at a discount.
Yeah.
So you'd get it for $12.99, and then when it's actually released, it'll be $24.99. So you get effectively getting it for almost half price.
No, I mean, all right, you made a good case. Yes, I would do it.
I have done. Like I said, DayZ. I have DayZ, and I played it to death when it first came out, and I've dropped off because it doesn't have the content that I hoped it would have. But I have the security knowing that Bohemia will eventually finish the game to, they will push the game to its full completion. So there is that, and I'm more reluctant when it comes to indie developers, which is a shame because I love indie games. I see that's where the innovation is, and I think a lot of the up and coming indie developers are really going to drive the industry forward. But for me, the early access stuff, while it's great that I could support them while in their nurturing stage, it's just too much of a risk for me, definitely. And I wouldn't see it coming to consoles. And the thing is, if it did come to consoles, it would just blow up. I know it would. People would they're so hungry for game content. There's nothing else like it. You don't get people clamoring for books and clamoring for films like the way people. If
what the hell's a book?
If you paid for 5 pages of a book and were promised the other 250, you'd be like, it just doesn't seem to work, does it? It's like saying, right, okay, here's 5 minutes of a film. We'll show you the next 90 minutes of it when we've completed it. But you can pay for that 5 and watch that 5 minutes now. That just doesn't happen. Doesn't happen at all. But
yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that ever happens. I think there's potential for it. So, well, we've kind of hammered on games here for a bit. Let's kind of shift genres and let's get into. There's some pretty big movie news this week too. We had the Microsoft stuff for gaming, and in the movie realm, we had Zack Snyder getting crazy with his camera this week on the set of. Who the hell knows what it's actually called at this point? Batman vs. Superman, Superman vs. Batman, Man of Steel 2, wannabe Justice League. Who knows what the movie's going to be called, but Mr. Snyder released the first pics of the new Batmobile and of Batfleck in the new Batsuit. And personally, my take on each, I think the Batmobile looks like a cross of Chris Nolan's Tumbler with the kind of rad-looking Corvette-style one from the 1989 Batman starring Michael Keaton. And the suit, I think, is probably the best Batman suit to hit the screen. And it definitely has that Dark Knight Returns feel from the graphic novel. I don't know if anyone's checked that out. Maybe Anna. I know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've definitely seen the pictures. I agree on the Batmobile because I did notice like the spoiler kind of looks, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say flames, but that's what it kind of reminded me.
Yeah, it has a little of the goofy Batman Batmobiles in it too.
And then for the Batsuit, I have to say I like the approach because it's not bulky. It looks like maybe Batman's going to have to rely more on his combat skills, maybe not so much gadgetry. And I like the design of the suit because it reminds me of Man of Steel, where you can kind of see the kinks in the detail of the suit. Very, looks very.
How do you like the big fat bat logo? I love that thing.
I like it. I mean, I really like it. I'm excited to maybe see it in color, not just black and white.
There have been, I know, Anna, you're our Reddit queen, but I was on there today in the comic book subreddit, and they have had fans kind of guess at the coloring, and many of them are either doing kind of a blue for the cowl, the gloves, and the cape, where the body's more of a gray, and some are doing exactly what it looked like in Dark Knight Returns. Again, this is where Batman's in his 50s, he comes back, he's old, but his suit is more, kind of black cowl, black gloves, but then this grayish armor type of deal.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually seeing him move in it, because then I guess that we'll just get an idea just what kind of Batman we're looking at.
Is he going to be able to turn his head, unlike Christian Bale?
Hey, no nipples. I'm good.
Yeah, you're good with the nippleless suit. So
you can't beat the original Batman suit, the TV series. Was it purple?
Oh, with Adam West. Yeah, it's that gray with
like
that
purple,
shiny
with the
purple.
Was it like satin hood and cape?
You're exactly right. Yeah, and he had these eyelashes drawn on the cowl. I mean, it was pretty rough, man.
The thing is, if they made a Batman movie just like the original TV show, I'd watch it. I'm not going to watch any of this newer. It's just too much for me. I'm not a massive fan of comic book superhero stuff, as you well know, but. Right. I do actually have a little bit of a soft spot for Batman, but I still haven't seen, and everyone's going to slam me for this, but I still haven't seen The Dark Knight or anything.
So you haven't seen any of the Nolan Batmans? Batman Begins, Dark Knight, and Dark Knight Rises?
No, I haven't.
Okay. They're good. They're good.
I know you're not much into the comic book world, but I think you'd appreciate these because they're not comic booky.
Right.
Batman's never really been about superpowers or anything.
Yeah, that's why I liked Batman.
It's
like
about
I said, I have a soft spot for Batman
ability and just the villains just being psychos.
That's what I was going to say, was that I've never been one for supernatural superpowers.
Right.
So Batman was definitely something that I did have a little bit of a soft spot for. And I have watched quite a lot of Batman films, but I think it got to...
If you ever get some time here, you got to check out the Nolan trilogy. And,
I
maybe even before that, you need to get the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2. It's an animated movie of the... Damn, is it Frank Miller who did the graphic novel, Anna? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay. So Frank Miller, by the way, is a badass with graphic novels, but the animated versions, Benson's, are beautiful. You'd love them. It's a great story. It's very atypical Batman. I don't want to give any spoilers, but people die, and Batman doesn't really do that. So it was a very controversial comic back when it first came out. So if you don't want to read the comics and you just want to get two not decent, but really great animated films, Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2.
Yeah, I'll keep it in mind, because I have been saying to people that I will check it out, and I will check out The Dark Knight, because it was just, I think I got to Batman and Robin and it just destroyed it.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't blame you at all.
Terrible,
for some dumbass reason, I just bought all the old
Batman.
They're unwatchable. I mean, the Michael Keaton Batman, great. The second one, it started to kind of go downhill. The third one with Val Kilmer, I can't watch anymore.
No.
And the last one with George Clooney, I can't even get past the beginning. I mean, it is just shit, crap, vomit, awful.
I mean, just the dialogue in it
Awful,
alone is like so cheesy. Like, I'll save you. No, I'll save you. It's like, shut.
It got turned into a gay. It was a gay ice capades movie at the end.
It was horrible.
Which is the one with Jim Carrey in?
The Val Kilmer one, so the third one.
Yeah.
Batman Forever.
See, that was okay. And I only liked it because it had Jim Carrey in.
Well, I'm telling you right now, even if you try to watch it now, I don't think you could watch it again. Because I felt the same way. You know, back in the 90s when they was coming out, I was young in high school or whatever. And I was like, yeah, these are great, Batman, woo. But they're just shit. I mean, really, the first one's the only one worth watching these days.
Oh, I can't remember. It's the first one with the penguin. No, it's the one with
that's the second one.
Jack Nicholson is the Joker.
Yeah,
man.
Jack Nicholson's Joker. Yeah,
him and Michael Keaton. Where is Michael Keaton? Damn it, I love that guy. I mean, I know he was in the RoboCop reboot, but that guy made some kick-ass movies in the 80s and 90s. Mr. Mom.
Yeah, that's what's up.
What was the one he did with? He like worked with all those crazy people. I don't know. Whatever. We won't get on a Michael Keaton subject here, but
yeah.
So anyway, Snyder's starting to tease some picks. I mean, this movie's still what, a couple years away, I believe. Is it 2016 now? At
2016.
This point? Yeah, May 6th, 2016, the same day the third Captain America movie will be coming out. I have high hopes, but I will not be surprised if it turns into a mess because I think we talked about this online, offline, in my own head. I think they're getting a little too far ahead of themselves, and at least I'm talking about the DC people and the movie people. They've seen what has happened with Marvel in Phase 1 and now Phase 2, and now the Kick-Ass TV show.
Yeah,
and I think DC kind of wants to do the same thing, but instead of fleshing out a new Man of Steel story and a new Batman story, they're just taking Man of Steel 2 and cramming in Batman, Wonder Woman. You got Lex Luthor. You're going to have this guy, that guy. There's probably going to be Cyborg. I mean, and then this is all going to bleed into a new Justice League movie. I don't know if they're giving each character enough time to develop on their own like Marvel did.
Well, that's part of the reason why I'm hesitant to see The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
And I loved it and I hated the first one. I don't know if that's going to convince you to go, but I've seen it. I've seen it twice now. The second Amazing Spider-Man 2 is great, and I almost cry every time I see the end.
Well, I know what happens, and I know what they're trying to do. I know what they're trying to set you up for, but I still feel that for focusing on 3 villains and trying to introduce all of these things, I think that Marvel is just far ahead in what they've done, and now DC is going to try to play catch up. And I know Sony still has the rights to Spider-Man, but it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, you just kind of should do your own thing, not worry about what Marvel's doing, and like the fans will come and see it. Don't try so hard.
Yeah, we'll see. I the first time I saw Man of Steel, I did not like it. I saw it the next day because I just could not accept that there was another crappy Superman movie out in the world. And when I watched it again, I loved it. And I watched it 2 more times in the theaters, and I think it's a fantastic Superman movie. But I really wish Snyder would have just developed Henry Cavill as Superman, maybe one more movie on his own, and then started doing all this crossover crap.
Yeah.
So anyways, rumor has it we're going to be getting more and more shots of the costumes as the weeks roll on now. So we may see if Man of Steel's changing his outfit. We may see the Wonder Woman, Cyborg if he's in there. So whatever. I always love watching a movie go from script to the screen. So we will make sure to cover this process until May when it releases. Sticking in movie news, we have some sad news this week, and don't kill me on this pronunciation. I'm pulling this straight from the New York Times, not that they are a reliable news source. But on Monday, the fantastic Swiss artist H.R. Giger, I know some of you may have pronounced it Geiger, but supposedly it's Giger. H.R. Giger passed away at the age of 74. For those of you that don't know, he is the man behind the design of the Alien franchise. He's the guy that came up with the look for the aliens and really the whole visual
everything. Yeah,
the whole visual design for that first Alien movie.
Well, I think you've only got to type in his name. Just type it into Google and click images, and instantly you will you will see something that you'll recognize.
And even when you look at his art, you can see where his alien inspiration came from.
The
And he's
greatest
always
phallic artist of all time.
Yes, he's always had that very sexual, mechanical, evil art.
Lovecraft style, a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, life and death, but it's a shame. But the thing with him is that his work will live on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many of us are going to be playing Alien Isolation? And I'm pretty sure that in a few years' time, there'll be a new Alien movie.
Prometheus 2.
Obviously, Prometheus, yeah. So it's just the thing for me, the thing why it struck me is because Aliens was the first movie I remember as a kid that really freaked me out.
Are you talking about the first one or the second one?
No, I watched the second one. I didn't watch the first one until many years later.
Game over, man. Game over.
The second one, obviously, yeah, like kick-ass Marines, and
still the best machine gun report of all time.
Ah, yeah, the sound of the pulse rifle is just absolutely fantastic.
Beautiful.
And like I said, for me, I was about 10 years old, maybe 9 years old, and I watched it and it scared the shit out of me. So much so that for about 2 weeks after, I was convinced that there'd be there's an alien under my bed and I daren't move.
Yeah,
because
man. I'm right
some
with
face
you.
hugger would come and grab me and impregnate me. It properly, really affected me as a kid. And I've not had a film do that since.
It sounds like my experience with Ghostbusters.
So Ghostbusters didn't do that.
Dude, for some reason, those damn dogs in the first Ghostbusters, when Sigourney Weaver turns, those evil dogs freaked me the fuck out.
There is no Dana.
That's
Zoo.
And this line, I don't know why this line sticks with me from that movie, but it's when Rick Moranis is with the Ghostbusters and he's already been kind of whacked out and he's got stuff on his head and they're like, "Hey, do you want some coffee?" And he goes, "Yes, have some." I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that, but that's just like one of the best lines in that movie.
That's like the same effect that I had with Freddy Krueger. I mean, it was like the first horror movie that I saw, and it was my dad was just like, "Hey, come watch this with me," and I'm like, "Okay," and I was deathly afraid of the dark after
so
that.
we're pretty much saying our parents didn't do a good job at protecting
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that freaking clown.
Pennywise, he can suck it. That movie
Pennywise
messed
fantastic.
me up, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Down here, we all
I love
float.
Pennywise.
No, we don't. Yeah. Down there.
If you come down here, you'll float too.
Oh man, there's so many good movies from back then.
Just talking about it right
Critters, Ghoulies, all these movies.
Ghoulies.
yeah.
I thought Ghoulies was pretty comical.
Yeah.
And Critters was comical as well. So
Yeah.
I was never really freaked out by them. But even today, even if I watch Aliens today, I still get a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
Even though I know what's going to happen, it's just got that tension down to a key.
Oh, yeah.
Same with the original Alien as well. The tension in it is absolutely,
And that's what
it's amazing.
Alien Isolation is going for. I mean, it's basically going to be like the first
yeah.
movie. There's only one xenomorph and you're trying to survive.
I have my reservations on certain aspects as to whether they'll overplay it too much and because they mentioned that it's going to be quite a long game. So, I say long.
Yeah, I hope it's just
maybe
not
12
pure
to 15
stealth.
hours.
I hate pure force stealth.
I don't think it will be. I think that if they're going to do it right, they'll do a balance between it. But I don't think there's going to be there's not going to be any kind of firearms, I don't think. There'll probably be some kind of like melee weapons, and I don't know how they're going to do it. All I know is if they get the intelligence right, if they get the artificial intelligence of the alien and that kind of sweet spot where you're constantly guessing and you never really find a tactic that will guarantee success and there's always an element of risk involved, then it'll be brilliant. And
I want this. I want to be on edge. I mean, really, I never got into the RE games. I'd say Dead Space is really the only tank type of horror game I've played, and that first Dead Space just scared the piss out of me. I mean,
Dead Space was wicked.
It was beautiful. The lighting, the moments they set up, it was challenging. So,
but the Alien Isolation is more in common with Amnesia. If you ever played the original Amnesia or Penumbra, Black Plague.
Yeah,
it's very much kind of like that.
So anyways, rest in peace, Mr. H.R. Geiger, you say tomato, I say tomato type of deal. So we lost a great movie artist, an Academy Award winner.
I'm going to watch Alien tonight.
Yeah, someone that just...
Yeah, no, that's what I'm thinking in my head right now. So, I've got to watch them films.
Alien.
Yeah, just beautiful design. I mean, no one's ever going to get the space jockey out of their minds or the xenomorph design or the
And you got to think of all the other things that's inspired as well. How many other...
Event
sci-fi
Horizon
films and games.
Oh yeah, Ray's dead on. Event Horizon basically is in an alien. I mean, it looks like an alien interior.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Well, I think we've kind of hit on the big stuff this week, so we're going to kind of head towards home here. Just a couple things to mention. Those of you that are still playing Titanfall, there should be a title update coming out really yesterday and today, and this is in anticipation for the Titanfall Expedition DLC pack, which will cost $9.99, offers up 3 new maps, or it's part of the season pass for $24.99, and that will drop tomorrow for the Xbox One and PC. So before we all say goodbye, just go around the table. Is there anything you want to plug, 10 Bensons?
Yeah, obviously my Twitter, as usual. You can follow me at 10 Bensons. And second to that, if you like these podcasts, if you enjoy them, if you think they're funny, even if you think they're lame, then hit the like button and get your fat finger and share it to your friends, because the more people that listen, then the more people that can take the piss. So
yes, please spread the hate or spread the love. We can take
That's it. Yeah,
we can
love
take
it or hate it.
All right, anything for you, Mr. Wu-Tang Clan?
No, nothing really. Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Wu-Tang Clan. Probably won't see anything too exciting coming out of there, but whatever. Otherwise, no.
Well, don't you got a speed run coming up, don't you?
Oh yeah. Monday at 2 a.m. I'll be streaming in a marathon, so look out for more details on that as it comes up.
Yeah, support your local speedrunners.
Oh God, support my sleep schedule.
All right, Miss Anna, anything for you? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, go see Godzilla. It comes out on Friday.
Hey, you know what? I'm headed down your way tomorrow, actually, so I'm not going to be able to watch it Thursday night. But
I'm watching it tomorrow.
Damn it!
I got my tickets for IMAX. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Forget that 1998 shit, people. It's all about 2014.
I am disappointed. For one, I mean, Walter White's in it, so that's just going to make it great. Period. But I think this one has potential.
The Walter White.
Yes, he actually did an interview yesterday. Yeah, he did Bryan Cranston did an interview yesterday where he said, "Now, if I were Walter White in the movies, this is what I would have said to Godzilla, this, that, and the other thing." So that's kind of good. But okay, and then me, I am Matt Haywood again, the Entertainment Buddha. You can follow me on Twitter. My personal account is at Matt Haywood, and that's MATTH3YWOOD.
Fail.
Yes. Follow the site Twitter at EntBuddha, ENTBUDDHA. We're on Facebook, Entertainment Buddha. We're on YouTube, Entertainment Buddha. We're on Google freaking Plus. We're all over the fucking internet. So follow us somewhere, please.
Yeah. Share, like, tell your friends, tell everyone.
We are like you people. We are regular people. We are not paid by publishers. We don't make millions of dollars to write about this stuff. We provide opinions just like you would. We have to pay for games just like you do. Oh.
It's just me? Oh,
damn,
that CD
right?
Projekt Red.
You gotta spread the wealth, buddy.
That CD Projekt Red logo is pretty awesome.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, support your fellow geeks. We are here to hopefully entertain you, inform you, make you a better geek one post at a time. We write it on every damn post. So thanks again for hitting the Buddhacast. This was Microsoft and Batfleck and more. Oh my, we should have it out on iTunes shortly. We will talk to you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.
Peace.
Bye.